Hi, this is James from Square Internet with another WordPress tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to create an Elementor single post template. You might be wondering what an Elementor single post template is. So to explain the jargon, it's the template that displays for all of the blog posts on your website. So single post refers to a post. And it's the template that can be created to display for all of your blog posts. Previously, to create a template to display for blog posts on your WordPress website, this would have to be done using things like PHP, HTML and CSS. There weren't really many options for doing it using a visual page builder, which was not ideal. And one of the reasons that Elementor is so popular, and one of the reasons that I use Elementor in a lot of my projects and for our website, is that the Elementor Pro, the Pro version of Elementor comes with the ability to create templates for your single post template using the built-in visual Elementor builder. So you can design and build a template that displays across all your blog posts, or sections of your blog. You can have multiple templates, obviously. You can, but you can build templates the easy way using Elementor, and you haven't got to use any code. I'll just show you what it looks like. So it's the same builder that you use to build any other page or part of your Elementor site. You can start with a blank canvas. You can use templates. You can use a template from a different part of your website and alter that template. The possibilities are endless, really. You can build it any way that you'd like. You can use all of the built-in widgets here from the Elementor builder. Everything from star ratings, image boxes, share buttons, Facebook comments, you name it. You can build it any way that you'd like. And so what I'm going to do in this tutorial is I'm going to rebuild the template that we've got on our website, just step by step, and walk you through it so that you can get to grips with how the Elementor builder works a bit, and you can see how you can use it to build a template for your blog posts. So I'm going to loosely follow along to the content of this blog post, which I wrote recently, where I outlined the process step by step in the blog post. But I figured a video might be easier to just go through the process and show you, step by step, the actions I'm taking on my screen. And some people prefer videos to a long form blog post anyway, so I figured I would go ahead and do this video for you. So let's get started then. So we want to create a template that's going to display on all of our blog posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my WordPress dashboard, Elementor templates. I'm going to click add new. I'm going to select single post type. I'm going to select post. I'm going to call it tutorial template, and I'm going to get started creating my template. So these are blocks that you can use to get started with templates for a single post. So Elementor provides you with a number of templates in the Pro Edition that you can use to start with, but I'm not going to be using any of these. I'm just going to be building it from scratch, so I can click off that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rebuild this template here I've already got step by step, and show you how it's done every step of the way. I'm going to follow along roughly to the contents of this blog post as well, just so this can be used as a companion piece to the blog post. And so the first thing that we need to do, as in the structure here, is we need to create a post container. And so in this instance, the container is everything outside of the white column we have here. And so I'm just going to start off by creating a 1 column row. I think I stretched that row. Yeah. I'm going to stretch the section, and I'm going to make sure the content width is the same. So this is a boxed row. The content width set to 880. I'm going to grab the background color here by going into Style, Background, Color. I'm going to apply the background color there. See what else I need to do there. I think that's about it. Oh, some padding, yeah. So if I go to the Advanced tab here, I set up some padding around my container at the top of the bottom, and this just adds a little spacing between this bit here and the beginning of my my column. So I just wanted to add a bit of spacing so that we can differentiate between the two. And to do that, I'm going to click on the Advanced tab. I'm going to click this button so that the values aren't all linked. I'm going to add just a bit of padding there. I think that's all I need on my my container for now. So that was nice and straightforward. I've got a nice container now for my post content. But what I did was I set like a light grayish type background color here, and I wanted my my actual inner container to be white so that there was a contrast. Just wanted it to be really simple and straightforward because I really like simple, minimal design. I think it's the best way to go. It's the easiest. It's going to be the easiest for people to read the content if it's just really simple. So the next step, as in the article here, is to style the inner container, which I'm going to do now. Let's just have a look here. I don't think I need to do much really apart from set it to white, the inner container. So style, which is where we can manage things like the background color, border, typography. I'm just going to put in the hex code for white. Nothing's showing up at the moment because there's nothing in the box, so what I'm going to do is just going to put post content in there. It's just going to be easier for us to see what's going on. But as you can see, we've now got a nice white inner container. And one thing I can notice differently between the two is that I'm going to need to place a bit of padding, which is spacing. And I've got rounded borders on my inner container here, so I'll need to do that on my new inner container. So I'm going to click the button for the edit column there. I'm just clicking on, if you hover over it, it says edit column. The same way if you hover over this, it says edit section. I'm going to hover over edit column. Let's see how much padding I'm using. So 3260, 3260. As you can see, as I'm typing in the padding values, I'm getting some spacing, which just makes this look a bit nicer and a bit easier on the eyes. And then I need to probably like a 5 pixel border radius, something like that. So I'm going to apply a border to this, so just round the edges slightly, just so that it fits in with the design of my site a bit better. I'm going to come over into the style section. I'm just clicking edit column again, and I'm coming to style. Border type, solid, because I want to have a solid border. Width, I'm going to set it to 1. I don't need to unlink the values because I want it to be 1 pixel wide across. I'm going to set this to 5, and then I'm going to make the border color match the background color here, because I don't actually want a coloured border. I suppose I could set this to white as well, and it would have the same effect. I don't think it really would matter. Just preview our work. So yeah, as you can see, we've got a nice outer container. It's just a sort of neutral grey type colour, and then our inner container contrasts against it. It's plain white. We've got a bit of spacing here, and we've rounded the borders off, just like on our existing blog posts, which I think just looks nice and suits the design of the site. Okay, no, so I did want the border to contrast there, so I am going to apply the border colour, just so that the border does stand out. There we go. So I think that's slightly greyer than the background. CF. Just checking the... Yeah, so I think this border here is slightly darker than the background colour we've got on this section. I think my thinking behind that was to just make the inner container just stand out that little bit more. So that's now done, as we can see on the preview page. And for those of you who aren't sure how I'm getting this preview page, what I'm doing is I'm coming down here and I'm clicking on this button. I'm coming down here and I'm clicking on this eye, and then I'm clicking on preview, and it's loading a preview of the template to show me what it will look like when it's applied to a blog post. So that's our outer container and our inner container done. Nice and easy. Now we're going to do the post header. So most post templates only have 3 or 4 sections: a container, which we've just built, the outer and inner container, the header, which is where you'll put your title, who the author is, the date, metadata like that, the author and the date. There's the post content, and then there's the footer, which is where you might put things like your social share buttons, any calls to action, related posts, that sort of stuff. So we've just done the container. Now we need to do the header section, because if we look at this, we've got the post, but there's no title or anything like that. So let's just build that out now. Mine's really simple. I've just got the post title and post excerpt. So Elementor has built-in widgets for you to insert post title. So if we search for post title, and this is actually dynamic as well, so you see there's not the option for you to write the title in here, because what it's doing is it's pulling the post title for each post from the database. So this widget is dynamic. It's saying on every single blog post, here is where I want to display the post title, whatever that may be. And I want to grab the excerpt, which is like a snippet of the post summary. I'm just going to put that there. That was really simple, straightforward. Yeah, and that's literally all I've got in my header. I think maybe I've got some margins and some paddings going on. So if I click on my post title, I've put a margin at the top and the bottom just for a bit of spacing to space stuff out. Because if we look, it still looks a bit crammed in here. So what I'm going to do is add a bit of spacing here. You can see that's just appeared. So I'm actually editing the post title. I'm just putting some spacing on top of it. I think I had 30 beneath it. Okay. I think that's everything for the header. That was really easy. What I'm going to show you quickly is a few other things you can do with the your header. So you may want to have you may want to display the author at the top in the header bit for each of your posts. So Elementor's got a built-in author box. We can do things like you can change what displays, so the source, the current author, or is it custom. Profile picture, we can enable that or disable that. We can enable or disable the name. We can turn off the biography. And it's grabbing all of this stuff from the WordPress user section, so you can edit that there. We can change the alignment of the image. We can change the size. We can put a gap between the image and the title. You can play around and achieve whatever kind of design you'd like really with the author box. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not going to use one. If you type in post into Elementor, you'll get a list of the associated post modules you can use. So post excerpt, post info, post content, post title. There's a few things you can look at. Post navigation, the previous and next buttons, so that your users can navigate between posts. But as you can see, there's a few other things you could play around with in the header. But for my template, I want to keep it simple. I have got an author box, but I've put that in the footer of the post at the bottom. So for now, I think our template, our header is done. Just check that's looking the same. Yeah. So, right, I haven't center aligned my title. So I want my title to be center aligned, not left aligned. And if I preview now, they should be identical. The live template, which is showing on my live posts, and the one I'm just building. Okay, so there's a couple of small differences in the actual content, but I'll come to the content styling next. For now though, we're looking good. Okay, so now we're gonna come down to creating the post body. So this refers to styling the actual post, the content itself, this stuff. So we did it in a slightly roundabout way to the steps in this tutorial, because I wanted to just make it easier for you to see what's going on. But so all that we need to actually pull in the post content in this template is the post content module, which we've already dragged here and dropped. So it's just going to pull in the post content here beneath the excerpt and the title. But I want to apply a couple of small tweaks to this so it matches my my live template, because if you compare the two, there's a little bit more spacing between the text here. I think I've got different line heights. Just looks a little bit nicer. So let's have a look at what I've done here. I'm going to go on to post content, custom CSS. So I've just applied a little bit of custom CSS to my post content to get it looking how I want. And this is another really cool thing about Elementor. Every single module's got a built-in custom CSS section where you can just write some simple CSS. You don't need to be, like a coding wizard or really technical. You just need a little bit of knowledge of a few things. Maybe just how you can apply colors, padding, margins, stuff like that. And the way that it works is you can use the selector to wrap to target the wrapper element. So because I'm targeting the post content, that's the wrapper element. What I'm saying is I want to apply my styles directly to this post block. So I'm saying, selector, H2, 3, 4, and paragraph, button and image. I wanted to put a margin beneath them of 25 pixels. And what that's doing is it's just placing a little bit of spacing. Every time there's a H2 or a paragraph, I'm just placing a bit of spacing beneath it, which is how it doesn't look so crammed. This looks a bit more crammed. Every time there's a paragraph, there's a bit of spacing, so it's just looks a bit nicer, I think, and it's a bit easier to read. And then I've changed the color to match my brand Midnight Blue on the headings. So I've just set the color for these headings, and I've put a bit of padding on top of them as well, just so that the article is more easily broken into sections and it's not all just one big block of text like this. And here, pre, you don't really need to pay much attention to that if you don't plan on inserting blocks of code and code snippets into your posts. This is just styling for when I have a code snippet. So if you want to follow along and have a similar design to me, just maybe copy this stuff here and edit it how you'd like. But I'm going to just copy that. Come over to my new template, which is here. So that's looking a bit better. I think I've also, I've set the line heights a bit differently to the default, which allows us to have a bit of spacing in between the individual sentences, which I really like, and I think it just looks less crammed. So if you want to do that with your post content, you would come over to Style, Typography, and line height. I'm just going to set that to 2.1. That's looking better. I think that's most of the post body, which is quite simple. Okay, right. So one thing I'll cover in the post body now that I covered in the my article is default colors and fonts. So Elementor makes it really easy to apply global styles, which previously you would do through things like CSS or SCSS. You would say to your SCSS or your CSS, you would say, I want all of my my body text to be a certain color, all of my headings to be a certain color, and you would set font sizes globally so that all of the headings have a particular size. So Elementor lets you do this easily without having to play around with any code. So if you click on the from here, if you click on the little burger button menu here, it will take you back to the sort of dashboard of the Elementor builder. And if you want to make sure that all of your Elementor post pages and templates are uniform, you can set default colors and default fonts. So I've already done this. I've set a primary color of my brand blue, and I've set the accent color to that as well. And the accent color will be stuff like this when you hover over things, links, that sort of stuff. And then I've left secondary and texts. I think I've left those as they are because they're kind of just neutral grayish colors. I think I set the text actually to this color here, this grey color, because I like that better than just a pure black color. So if you compare, I think the grey is just a bit softer if I put that back. So you would come into default colors to manage this stuff. If you change the text color, it's going to change the color of the plain text across your website. So you can play around with your default colors there, and I'd recommend that you do this so that it's applied globally and everything looks uniform. And then if you do want to override the color for something, You can obviously easily do that through style typography. You can override what's set globally, but it's just going to save you a lot of work if you set this stuff globally, because you're not then going to have to set the font and colors for every single page template or page on Elementor. So it's a real time saver, and everything will look a lot more uniform. And then the other tab, default fonts, you want to make sure that you set these up so that they're using the font you want to use across your website. So I've done this already. I'm using Source Sans Pro, so I've set that there, and on the accent text. You might also want to change the weight of your headlines to something like 700 or 900, which basically makes them bold. Secondary headline, you could change that to a lower font weight, like 300, which will make the text thinner. So it will, you could have a slightly thinner secondary headline against a primary headline. So you might want like a bold H1, H2, and maybe a thinner H3 or 4, for example. But you can apply all of this here from this section, and then just make sure you actually click apply, this button here. Something I do still sometimes is I'll come in here and I'll do it and I'll forget to click apply, and the settings won't be saved. So do make sure you click apply, and then your post content will take on the default color or default font that you've set up here. If you didn't want to do it that way, you could still control the fonts and font weight, colors, and that stuff from the typography tab here, which all the text box have. You can set the font here. You can set the size, the weight. You can make it uppercase, lowercase, like this. You can make it italic, normal. You can underline it, overline it. Why you'd want to do this, I'm not sure. Maybe you've got a reason, but I'm just showing you can play around with the styling this way for a bit more of a granular control, so to speak. You can center align it, right align it. You can justify it. I'll just keep that there, left aligned. And then you can play around with the advanced and the style tab if you wanted to achieve any kind of effect you'd like, really, with your post content. But I think that's about everything I covered in the blog post. So I've just covered default fonts and colors. That's done. I've shown you how you can apply some CSS to the post body by going into advanced, custom CSS. I think that's everything for the body, and everything we've just done is about styling and controlling the actual post content. So the header's got a title and an excerpt. This is the actual post content, everything that's not the title, basically. Anything that you type into the WordPress editor when you're actually writing a post like this. If we go edit post, so you'll create your posts as you usually would in writing a blog post here, and anything we've just covered here in post content is going to be applied to this content. So I think that's the post body covered for now. Let's move on to the footer, which is where we've got a few more things going on. Where's the... Here it is. Okay. So let's go down. So in my post at the moment, I've got some share buttons at the bottom of my article, and you can grab these from the Elementor builder. Share buttons. Just going to drag those, and I want them to look like this. So I'll show you how to style them a little bit. So just going to compare the two. So icon and text, I just want icon. I want them to be aligned to the right. I think I used minimal or flat skin. Flat, square and auto, yeah. And I think I've made them a bit smaller, which I can do here from style. I can control the button size and the icon size. 0.8 and 1.5 I've set that, so that's controlling the size of the actual button container, and this will control the size of the actual icon inside. See, I can change that as I want. I'm just going to put that there. I think I set it to 1.5, yeah. And then you can control where they link to. Sorry, no. These buttons will confusing myself there. So these buttons will let you let the user share your post on these platforms. So Facebook, Google+, Twitter, or LinkedIn. They're already programmed, so we don't need to do anything with the links. So that's all we need to do there. Here I've got a dynamic call to action, which I show you how to make in another video. That's actually like another 20-minute video. So I'm not going to go into that now and do that in this video, because that's there's quite a bit to that. So what I'm going to do is just finish off by adding in these sections here. So I've got an author box beneath here. So this is a module with an Elementor. It's already all done for you. I think I just need to, looks like just a bit of padding I've put. I've used a margin in there. So advanced, where I can do margin and padding on the module. I don't want to link it all together. Yeah, so they now look the same. And then I've got a horizontal rule, a divider here, to just break the sections up a bit, so that it's not all one block now. You know, we're coming out of the post content into different things. We've got some share buttons, an author box. I need to change the color on the divider, which I can do by coming into style. So all I'm doing is I'm just changing the color of this. Everything else is staying the same, so that it's a bit more subtle. And what I've done here is I've created like my own related posts box, just using a built-in Elementor post module, which I'll show you how to do. So I just want to search for posts, which gives me it's just pulling in posts, my WordPress posts. It's a widget for posts. I want to set it to cards. I think I'm using cards here. No, what am I? Sorry, I want to keep that as a classic. I want to turn off some stuff. So at the moment, it's displaying in 3 columns. You can make it display in 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I want to keep that the same. But I want to turn off all of this stuff, this metadata, and I want to turn off the post excerpt, which is the summary that's displaying there. I just want to keep it simple, and I want to drop this down to, I don't want 6, I just want 3. So post per page, I'm going to set 3. Image position at the top is fine. Excerpt, I want to turn that off, so it gets rid of the summary. Metadata, date and comments is showing here. I want to get rid of that. And I want to also get rid of the read more button. I don't think that's necessary. So that was nice and easy. I think the one thing I've got to change is the images at the moment look a bit crammed and distorted. So I think I just need to change the image size, which I can do by coming into style. You see I can style the layout, I can style the actual box, I can style the image or the content itself. Let me just see what I've done here. What have I done? Oh, okay, I need to do the margins on top and bottom. So I'll just put in the margins there. Image size. Oh, sorry, it's here in content. I forgot. It was the image ratio I've changed. So if we click on our post widget, content, image ratio, I've just reduced that. I don't have particularly high resolution images. These are mostly screenshots, so I just figured it looked a bit better, reducing the ratio a bit. It makes the images a bit smaller and they're not so cramped together. Yeah, so that now looks the same, so that's good. So that's done. Got one more divider here to break up the sections a bit. I don't need to create a new divider. All I have to do is right click on my existing divider and click duplicate, like so, and then I can drag and drop it down here. And this is just an image block. It's like a call to action for a free WordPress course I've got. So people can click through to that and sign up to that if they want. And to recreate that, I'm just going to drop the Elementor image widget. I'm just going to find that image from the media library. I think it's that one. I think all I've done differently is put some border radius. Yeah, I've just rounded the edges. So I can round the edges on this image by putting a border radius of 5 pixels. Looks like there's a bit of padding in it. Okay, I've also just put a small bit of spacing in the top of the box and the image there. And we've got one more divider here, which I wanted to look slightly different to these two dividers because it's separating kind of static simple sections to, you know, what can be a dynamic section, which is a comments box. So to create that divider, all I'm going to do is duplicate this one, and I think it's just dotted. Yeah, dotted. I think it's just a black divider rather than a grey one. Okay, cool. So that's done. And then the final thing in the post footer is the Facebook comments box, as you can see here, which is a built-in Elementor module. Again, that's really cool. I think really super useful. And all we need to do to display that is just drag and drop the Facebook comments box. And I haven't applied any styling or anything on that. I've just dragged it and dropped it. I think it was good to go as it was, so I just left it. And then now if I want to preview how this looks using an actual post, I'll go to preview. And as you can see, it's, you know, exactly the same as the current live blog post template. The only thing that's missing is the dynamic CTA block that goes here, but you can see how to build that in another video I've got on my channel, how to build a dynamic CTA using Elementor and advanced custom fields. Just quickly, the dynamic CTA is just a call to action box. I'll just show you quickly. Elementor's got a widget for call to action, which is just a box with some text that you can style. And all it is instead of this being the same content on every single page, the dynamic CTA, you build it once in your template and then you can change what content displays on each post and where the link goes. So as I said, I've done a detailed video tutorial on that on the channel, which you can check out to build that section if you want something like that on your blog post. But for the purpose of this video, as you can see, we've built everything again from scratch over the course of about 40 minutes, which is nice and quick. Didn't take too long. I think that's everything. Just double check there's nothing I'm missing. Related posts, comments. Oh, just to finish up, so how do you use this really cool blog post template that you've just built? So I'm not going to publish it because I've already got one live, but you'd click publish, and then you click on this little arrow here, and you would click display conditions. So Elementor recognise that you've set this location for other templates. So I've already got a blog template live, but you just want to make sure that it says include posts all if you want to show it on all your blog posts, or you can choose one of these conditions here: posts, front page, pages, downloads, whatever. But as this is for an Elementor single post template, you just want to make sure that this shows include posts, and then click save and close, and you'll be able to, if you've done everything correctly, you'll be able to see the template live on your blog posts. One thing I realized that I didn't, just really quickly, that I talked about in the article was saving as draft. So make sure you click this button, save draft, as you go, just in case you mess something up and you're not sure how to get back to where you were. Every 5-10 minutes, click on the little button and click save draft, just to save your progress. Elementor has got built-in revision tab here, like a history tab, that you can click on to restore stuff back. But it would just make sense to save your drafts as you go, so you haven't got to sift through every single action you've taken and try and figure out where you should go. So yeah, hopefully you found this video useful. It's quite a big video with a lot of content. If there's anything in it that you're not sure of, or that you want me to go over in more detail, just let me know in the comments. I'm more than happy to make more videos or answer any questions that you may have. Thank you once again for watching the video, and do make sure you subscribe for future content. And if you want a specific topic covered, just subscribe and let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.